Now, you might remember this Brexit slogan, "Let's take back control." Well, as far as I'm concerned, this was, and still is, nonsense, especially when it comes to immigration. Over the summer, when I gather Nick was reading up on his debating skills, new figures based on actual exit checks revealed that only 4,600 international students overstay their visas every year, not 100,000 as we've been led to believe for so long. We've also heard time and again that immigrants take low-skilled jobs. Again, the evidence contradicts this, with immigrants filling 1 in 5 skilled jobs in the UK. But above all, take back control perpetuated the myth that there's nothing we can do about immigration. Free movement means it's out of our hands. Well, wrong again. We already have the power to repatriate EU nationals after 3 months if they haven't found a job. And where did we get these powers? The EU. Britain doesn't and never did need to take back control. The Brexit emperor not only has no clothes, it doesn't make sense either.
Karen, how did you manage to read what I'd written?
I so wish I was coming back on camera, but anyway.
You know, I think the wonderful thing about having you on the show is you just state the facts.
He agrees with you.
No, you just state the facts. You know, you're not emotional about the argument. You're just stating the facts. This is the truth. And I think actually one of the things that we got wrong on the Remain campaign was we didn't factor in how passionate people were about immigration. And if we had, and we had focused on what you're talking about here, maybe we could have had a different outcome. Because actually, in terms of immigration, it is not what the Leave campaign made it out to be. And a lot of people were misled. And so, you know, thank you for stating the facts.
Thank you. This regulation...
Should we just go home?
Yes.
Thank you, we're off.
Please do.
This fact, this regulation in 2004, not just the other day, an EU regulation that allows any EU country to repatriate another EU national who has a free right to come in.
How many have we repatriated?
We've never used it. And other countries like Belgium repatriate thousands. They use it and we don't use it.
I read
but
Belgium
that's our own
repatriated
fault.
100 last year.
No. They've repatriated thousands in some years. But the fact is we can use it. That rule is there. And the impression is given that we have no control over immigration whatsoever.
Answer the question. How does repatriation...
And that's not just Labour governments.
Okay.
That's Tory governments as well.
How does repatriating people, i.e. deporting them, decide who can and can't come into this country? Because that's what people voted for in this referendum. And what the thing you're talking about does not address the fundamental problem with free movement, and that's people. It encourages people, low skill and semi-skilled workers, to come into this country. Right. From much poorer countries to come into this country.
So here's the fact. 4.3% unemployment is the figure, the lowest in 4 decades. Now, that means that we need the 3 million people from the European Union. Without them, we'd have a labour shortage.
Well,
we'd have an acute labour shortage.
So we haven't prepared
the people who are
those
here,
are the unemployment figures.
Who are here are staying. They're not going anywhere. So where's the evidence that we will have a labour shortage if we stop the
unemployment figures and the highest? We've got the highest level of employment in 4 decades, and we've got the lowest level of unemployment in 4 decades. What would we do? How would the public services, 130,000 people in the NHS and care sector from the EU?
This repatriation thing interests me. So what you're saying is someone who is here for 3 months and they're not working, what do? Do we go to their house, if they've got a family, we round them up, put them in the back of a truck and tell them to go? Because Britain doesn't operate like that.
No, but
we can't get rid of criminals, never mind.
I will answer, Michelle.
I find your point utterly bizarre.
Why?
I shall tell you for why. So are you quoting the directive 2004/38/EU?
Yes.
So you want me to be grateful for this, call it a directive. So the EU have dictated to this country and beyond that actually there's free movement of people. So they've enforced this on us by
No, they haven't.
We agreed to it.
Hang on.
Okay, but we have to accept it to be part of the EU. And you want me to therefore then be thankful that they have then given me a loophole that if I want to, God only knows how to police that's almost a separate debate. But if I want to police this, that somehow they will allow me to send people back. What I want is you not to tell me that we've got this free movement of people in the first place.
Well,
you want me to be grateful for scraps of this. You don't want us to leave the EU at all.
By the way, the free movement works both ways.
Yeah.
Do you know how much it benefits us to be able, from a business point of view, from a tourist point of view, from just travelling between the countries,
But
how easy it is? It benefits us, it benefits our economies.
But if
you can't say that you can't say your opening statement was taking back control was nonsense, because actually controlling our own immigration system, defining our immigration system and controlling it, that's sovereignty, that's democratic, it's whatever you want to call it, but it's us creating our own rules. The EU dictating free movement and then giving us this loophole and then us being grateful is bizarre.
So the perception of the public is we have no control. People can just come in and stay
and
we can't,
nothing we can do
they
about
can't
it.
leave. The reality is we do have some control.
So why weren't the Remainers shouting about this directive from the roof? This is the answer to the immigration problem.
Because you can't enforce it. How are you going to
Of course
tell me?
you can't. That's exactly
You can't enforce it.
Tell me how you're going to enforce it.
Nobody seems to know about it. Whenever I brought this up, whenever I asked government, they don't know about it. Now, here's another thing.
How would you enforce it?
They have not answered. And here's the other thing. Do you know Tony Blair removed exit checks from our borders in 1998? Any other country you go to, most European countries, almost everyone I travel to, South Africa, India, America, they check your passport when you leave the country. Here they've removed that, and that is a huge insecurity.
Please answer my question. How are you going to enforce that directive?
If you have control of your borders, which we've lost because we don't have those exit checks for a start, we need to have that.
That's not answering my question.
I wonder
no, Nick, he's not answering my question.
I am answering your
How are you going to do it? So these people that have come into the country that haven't got work after 3 months, how are you going to know who they are?
We should know who they are. If we have control over our borders, other European countries can do it. Why can't we? We don't have control over our borders at the moment in terms of those exit checks.
There is no
and that is
answer to the
negligent on behalf of our country, particularly when it comes from a security point of view. It's negligent not to have those physical, visible exit checks.
I agree with you, but
I have to say, I don't think it... No,
you're not ignorant. Your answer. You're not ignorant.
Karen?
Yeah.
You're a nice fellow, and I like you. But you're talking a load of cobblers, or should that be cobras in your particular instance? Your debate is headlined, immigration is good for the country. Of course it is. Look at the last names, some of the last names of the panel.
Perfect.
There's 3 good examples. We wouldn't be here. So, of course it is. And to a sense, yes, the vote that went for the Brexit vote was about control of our country. And I do note, I think that Michelle's point has yet to be countered. But in my final summation, before I hand it back to you, and this is actually speaking more to your initial debate, but I can see, and you have every right, and I know that, June, you're passionate Remainers and you think we should go back. There was a key address, a State of the Union address last week by Jean-Claude Juncker, which I think would have changed the status quo as regards Britain's relationship with the European Union. Here's just some of the things. We need one president. We need one finance minister. We need an army by 2025. We need to expand the Schengen zone through the Balkans. If you're in the EU, you are taking the euro. End of. If you're in the EU, you are in the Schengen zone. End of. I put it to you, Karen. That sort of thing. It was always going to come. A pressure point, the status quo.
Certainly not of excess.
So let me...
Here's the point, June,
just to build on what you said. For a start, Jean-Claude Juncker, a lot of people don't like him. He happens to be at the moment the head. By the way, he doesn't speak for the whole of the European Union, and we have always we've always had the best of both worlds. In fact, we have. Yes, we do.
But in the future,
firstly, in the future we do. We have made it very clear we're not into further integration.
Yeah.
We are not in the euro, thank God. Yeah. We're not in the Schengen zone.
He has said
we drive on the left-hand side of the road. I pour my beer in pints if I want to. We have the best of both worlds. All this talk, we're not going to join any EU army. This is nonsense.
I remember when there would be no EU army, and now they've finally been flushed out.
And Turkey's going to join the EU. That was another thing that was... That was another frightening...
Still not answered, Michelle.
Turkey's not going to join the EU.
The lass from Hull has got you.
You can't answer my question, and that's why you're avoiding it.
I've answered your question.
No, you haven't. You've talked about exit checks, and I agree with you. We should have exit checks. Brilliant.
Yes.
You haven't answered my question about this directive that you like, that everyone should be aware of. How are you going to know that whoever from the European Union doesn't have a job?
Are they claiming benefits or not?
If other European countries have been able to use this directive and deport people who do not have the means to look after themselves in this country, that doesn't mean we can't.
But
we can't do that. And the main thing is we do have control, but we need to reintroduce exit checks.
I'm going to have to end your debate there. Fantastic point made, and welcome to the show. I'm so excited.